Oh god, I've gone George Takei already. Oh my lord. Oh, this is gonna be a good episode. I can feel it.
Okay. I hope everyone had a good 4th.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to spend most of it at work because, ugh.
Haha. Home Depot doesn't agree with the 4th of July.
Yeah, because, you've got to have somebody to sell freaking... Never mind. The views expressed on this podcast do not reflect the Home Depot Stores Incorporated. Anyway, so yeah, happy 4th of July, belatedly. That feels weird to say because, as has been made clear several times before, we record this on Sunday and release on Tuesday usually. So to us right now, it's July 3rd. To you, when you hear this, it's July 5th. So
yeah, thanks for ruining the entire immersion.
Well, hey, I just felt like 2 of the 3 games we're discussing today have some pretty good immersion, so, time to, had to tip the scales a little bit, right? I don't even know where I'm going with this. Let's just move on. Player nay. Starting off, let's just get out of the way. Holy crap, the release schedule has not picked back up again. Because 2 out of 4 of these games that are on this list are just kind of like, yeah, sure, that exists, that's the thing. But this first one is not one of them. It is Furi, releasing July 5th, today for PlayStation 4 and PC. Developed by the Game Bakers, and this is an interesting-looking game. I like the art aesthetic of it. Got some pretty decent graphics. And, yeah. It actually does look fairly entertaining, so I'd probably give it a shot if it comes up on PlayStation Plus, which, let's be honest here, it probably will at some point.
Yeah, actually, this one kind of snuck up on me. Watched the trailer on it. It looks like just a bunch of boss battles, and each of the bosses do something completely unique. Just that indie kind of look to it, which is great. It looked like it controlled pretty well.
Oh, sorry. I hate to interrupt, but you know that comment I just made about PlayStation Plus? This game is releasing as one of the PlayStation Plus exclusives for July 2016.
Perfect. Well, then this is 100% play. But it was going to be anyways. It looks really interesting. It would be a lot of fun. This company doesn't have a huge history to it. It made a bunch of Squids games for the phone, and then finally had a Squids Odyssey come for the Wii U and 3DS. No idea what Squids is, but they made all of those. So here they are with their first big title. So we'll see how that goes.
Alrighty then. So yeah, we'll give it a download, give it a shot on.
Oh wow! I just looked. According to Wikipedia, their Squids Wild West game scored an 89 on Metacritic.
Nice.
It's not bad for a phone game.
Yeah. So yeah, we're looking forward to this. See what they can do with a new IP and all that good stuff. Speaking of new IP, oh wait.
Speaking of a company that's been coming out with great game.
Oh. Speaking of, crap. Okay. For the second episode in a row, we've got a Resident Evil experience. Resident Evil 5 will be coming out for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One on July 12th. Published and developed, of course, by Capcom. Here's the thing. You and I played through Resident Evil 5.
Yes.
Co-op.
Yes.
And in fact, we did so around the time of release because I remember I was playing it in my college dorm room back when I tried to go to college again. So, yeah, it's been a while since we played this game. I liked it, but I'm not sure if I like it enough to go out and buy a remaster of it.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed it for what it was. This was kind of at the cusp of Resident Evil falling downhill quickly. There are points, and I know a lot of gamers like to make fun of it for some over-the-top moments with Wesker at the end.
Yeah, and Chris punching a boulder into dust.
But they play games that do way goofier stuff, but it was just the fact that it was Resident Evil and it started out so, quiet and spooky.
No,
and then,
it didn't. Right, well, I mean, they were trying for it, but let's be honest here. Resident Evil 1 is the poster child for crappy voice acting.
But did anyone punch her? I'm not saying that it didn't have bad voice acting. I'm saying it didn't go over the top with anything. Did it ever go over the top with somebody punching a boulder?
I would actually probably put some of the delivery in Resident Evil 1 right up there with Chris punching a boulder, yes.
You're not getting my point. I'm talking about just, unrealistic things. Like Chris punching a boulder and making it go away. And making it go into the lava. I'm talking about the unrealism of it. Okay. People talking campy happens all the time. Those that listen to our podcast know that we can talk campy sometimes.
Sometimes.
Happens.
Majority of the time. Jesus.
But here's the thing. Again, I did a minor Resident Evil 5, but I just played a quote unquote HD remaster of a game. It's awful. They don't fix shit. So I'm not going to replay a game where they don't fix anything. No. Nay.
Oh, alrighty then.
Nay.
I'm gonna say nay too, but I'm not quite as strong a nay as Randy is.
No, so listen. Cash grab. 100% Capcom cash grab. And if idiots keep going out and buying it, it's the exact same game. Exact same.
Alrighty then. Next game up on the docket is Ghostbusters, also releasing July 12th for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, developed and published by Activision. I mean, this is basically, from what I can tell, this is basically them taking the mechanics from Sanctum of Slime, which was a pretty okay downloadable title that came out a few years ago. Ghostbusters Sanctum of Slime, I should say. A pretty okay downloadable title that came out a few years ago, and placing it within the reboot. I was trying to come up with a fancier way to put it, but basically taking the mechanics of Sanctum of Slime and putting the reboot characters in it.
I don't even think that's 100% true. There was a guy Ghostbuster in the trailer I saw.
Oh, wow, okay. Well then, interesting.
I think. Maybe. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
Well, I couldn't sit through the full trailer because the announcer voice just pressed every single one of my go fuck yourself buttons.
I have as little interest to play the Ghostbusters game as I do to see the new Ghostbusters movie.
Damn! Okay. I don't have that strong of a negative reaction to it. I'm at least a little bit mildly curious to see how well the movie does, but given the fact that a lot of stigma still exists on bad movie tie-in games, and Ghostbusters in particular has had some bad movie tie-in games, which didn't really stop existing until arguably Sanctum of Slime, and that wasn't even tied into a movie. You know, it's just kind of like, I'm not sure about this. I'm gonna go nay here, but again, it's like kind of if people start saying good things about it, I might, change my mind. But yeah, just kind of the previous experience is just kind of like, nope, I'm not sure about this. So, anything else to add, Randy, or?
No.
Okay then. And last, but most certainly, in my opinion, not least, on the release docket for Player Nay this episode, is Song of the Deep, releasing July 12th for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, developed by Insomniac Games. And I've got to start this off with a question, and that is, how in the hell is this the first time I'm hearing about this game?
Because you're bad at your job.
This is probably true. But this is a Metroidvania-style game where you play as a young girl in a primarily water-based world. It looks like a lot of this game takes place underwater. and you're trying to find out what happened to your mother. And it looks like it's got a pretty good storyline. The narration sounds pretty good, and it's a Metroidvania game from Insomniac, and they usually do pretty good stuff. Sunset Overdrive kind of being a little bit of a misstep, but even then it was okay. So I'm on board. I'll give this a play.
Yeah, this is one where I really need to see how reviews go, because I can get kind of the Metroidvania feel, but it's all water level from what I've seen. And that doesn't always sit the best. So we'll kind of see how controls work and what they kind of add to it. It definitely looks more story-based, so I doubt it's as open as like a Metroidvania game would be. But time will tell. So it's a mild play.
Yeah. Alrighty then, that'll do it for Player Name for this episode. I really hope that the release schedule starts picking up here soon. Like, some more stuff starts coming out, because, oh man, it's looking dire for some of the systems the next couple of months. We may have to cut back on the amount of games we do for Player Day an episode, or either that or cut the segment entirely for a few episodes, because the upcoming schedule looks pretty fucking grim until about August.
That's so sad to say. If the Banner Saga 2 comes out and you don't give a shit.
Well, Banner Saga 2 already came out for PC. Then that'd be what I would play it on.
Just don't give a shit. It's terrible. Sorry, Banner Saga 2. I thought Wes liked you.
Ay. Alright. Speaking of games Wes likes, and Randy, our co-played game for this episode. Uncharted 4: A Thief's End, releasing May 10th, 2016, developed, of course, by Naughty Dog and published by Sony Computer Entertainment America. Actually, I believe by the point Uncharted 4 came out, they had fully switched over to Sony Interactive Entertainment, so Sony Interactive Entertainment. This is the fourth game in the Uncharted series.
Fifth.
Fourth mainline game.
Fifth.
Oh, Randy, and you're trying to prop up the handheld that literally nobody else on the planet is trying to prop up anymore.
Japan loves it.
Oh yeah, that's why it got out. I'm pretty sure I remember it getting outsold by like fucking... It got outsold by something really fucking embarrassing, and I can't remember it off the top of my head right now. But
hey, it has more games coming out in July than the 3DS does.
This is a valid point. But that's also kind of that. Honestly, mobile gaming in general is kind of down the tubes ever since phones really started taking off. You know, which is kind of a shame. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. It is kind of a shame that dedicated mobile gaming systems are kind of starting to go downhill, or go the way of the dodo, go extinct, however you want to phrase it.
Yeah. It's okay, Vita. You're still my boo.
Apparently the people outside lighting fireworks on my doorstep agree with you. Anyway, so back to Uncharted 4: Thief's End. Again, fourth game in the mainline series on consoles. And in this one, a lot of very interesting stuff happens. Full disclosure, Randy played this game basically right when it released because he could not wait.
Here, let's just say it right. Release date, May 10th. Finish date, May 11th, okay?
Yeah, pretty well.
Well, I guess it was early May 12th. I think I went past midnight.
Actually, I think you finished it on like the 14th.
It took me 2 days, and I started it on the 9th because I got it early.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot you got it early. So yeah, he played it through to completion right at release time. I borrowed his PS4 for last episode and this episode to play Until Dawn and Uncharted 4. So I honestly don't know how I avoided spoilers because I did poke my head in on your streams a couple times just because, you know, I'm a nice person like that. But then I had to wait a month, and I'm amazed I managed to stay away from spoilers for that long, because usually I'm spoiled on a game before it even fucking comes out. If I'm wanting to actually pay attention to the game. But in this game, basically you find out that Nate Drake has a long-lost brother, Sam Drake, and I just want to point out that this is probably the best work that both Nolan North and Troy Baker have ever done, voice acting-wise.
They're just saying a lot.
Yes. With how many games those two are in, yes, it's saying a goddamn lot. The game kind of centers around Nate trying to help his brother out of a life or death situation, while also trying to kind of juggle the fact that he's built this domestic life with Elena after the end of Drake's deception, and he doesn't want to break that life, but he's got to help his brother out. And it was very interesting to see how they kind of pulled on both ends of that thread. And I gotta say, Neil Druckmann and Bruce Staley are fucking amazing, because they've now done Last of Us and Uncharted 4, and I really want to see what they do next. Because both games have had amazing fucking storylines.
Mm-hmm. I think, what it that I watched today, Smosh Games did it best when they did their honest trailers for this game, where they said Uncharted 4 does movies and games better than any movie has done a game before. Which, it's a movie. You're playing a movie.
Oh yeah.
100%. And I don't want, or we're gonna get to the controls and the gameplay and all that as it is, and I'm not taking anything away from it. The gameplay itself is still pretty good, but really the heart of this game is the storyline. It is the characters, which, again, it's an Uncharted game. It's a Naughty Dog game. They do a wonderful job of mixing in story while you're playing as well, so you're not sitting through an hour-long Kojima cutscene where he just has to throw it all at you at once. They're able to spread it out and then hit the big hard notes in big cutscenes in between. So, I mean, really, when you play an Uncharted game, the gameplay's great, but you're there for the story. And this one hits home, I think, better than any of the other games have before it.
Yep. Absolutely. But, yeah, basically you are on the trail of Captain Henry Avery and his, at first you're chasing after his riches from the Gunsway heist, which was rumored to be over $400 million, rumored to be over $400 million in gold. And then while you're chasing the leads down on that, you find that he, in actuality, banded together 12 of the most famous pirates of all time to pool their resources together and create the colony of Libertalia, and, make the Gunsway heist look like pocket change. So you span the globe, basically tracking down this treasure, while also dodging some other figures from Nate's past, such as Rafe and Nadine Ross, who are working together to try and find this as well. Yeah, the storyline in this game is absolutely amazing. And honestly, I know we kind of oscillate back and forth on this, but honestly, I don't want to talk about it go beat by beat on this.
No.
Because if you have not played the Uncharted series, you need to go play the Uncharted series. You need to go get hold of 1, 2, and 3, and Thief's End, and play them. Because they are all pretty amazing games and I know we've had our discussions about Uncharted 3 before.
Yeah, we're going to get to that later, so.
Yeah. Uncharted 3 is a good game. It's just not as good as it could have been.
We're not getting that conversation, but this is the way I look at it. And I think you will agree with me. There are some games that come out with sequels that you can tell people, unless you're like Wes, where you have to play the whole series, in order, or you lose your mind, that there are some games that you can skip to the new game that came out. I don't think Uncharted is that kind of game. I think if you've never played the first 3 or the Vita game and you play the 4th one, you're still going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy the story, you're going to enjoy the characters, you're going to enjoy the gameplay. But you're not going to get that emotional connection as you're going to get if you have followed Nate along all of these paths that he's gone on. I mean, Uncharted 4 is a giant punch in the nostalgia gut that you have, where it's like, oh man, I remember this adventure, while Nathan Drake is doing the same thing. He's like, oh, I remember when I was doing all these great things. They have a great scene when he's in the attic just kind of looking at all of his old stuff.
Yeah.
And I was doing the same things. Oh yeah, I remember that. Okay, that was cool. Yeah, that's great. And it just all these great things. I mean, some callbacks to characters. I am kind of sad that, I'm gonna blank on her name. Oh, the girl from the second and third one.
Oh, Jesus. Chloe.
I'm kind of sad that she got left as just a letter, basically. But everything else, I mean, most of the other characters come back, the main ones come back.
Well, I'm thinking that's more because, let's be honest here, she was introduced in Uncharted 2 as basically a love interest before Elena was reintroduced into the story. Because the game, Uncharted 2, basically makes it clear that at one point Nate and Chloe had a physical relationship. And I think if they had brought her into Uncharted 4, it would have undermined what they were trying to do with Nate and Elena's relationship.
Well, see, I mean, it would have been really interesting because, I mean, not to get into, like, spoiler territory, but basically, like you said earlier, Nathan Drake is trying to help his brother, and he's going behind the back of Elena to do so because he is promised this new lifestyle. They settled down, and he doesn't want to break that. He wants this to work this time, which, obviously they've had a rocky road. So it would have been kind of interesting if in one of those things that he needed help with, he needed to lean on Chloe for something. Like, there's a scene where they have to go to an auction. It would have been, I think, a little bit more interesting if it was Chloe that had to help them get into it. Just to that interaction a little bit. Like, so just more of Nathan Drake kind of going back to his old ways a little bit, but you're kind of teetering on that edge. I think that she would have helped out a little bit. Like, I get why they don't put her in there, and I think I agree with your sentiment, but I think that's the one part I think I could see her get add to it as you type away.
Yep, sorry. I just had to look something up real quick. Yeah. I mean, I can see where you're coming from in that having her, when she had a pretty decent role in 2 and 3, not being in 4 at all except for the letter, I can see where you're coming from. But I think that's counterbalanced by the fact that her making an appearance in Uncharted 4 at all would have undermined what they were trying to do with the relationship. Like, period. I don't think they could have gotten away with putting her in an actual appearance and not addressing that at all. You know? And I think either way you try to do that, it would have undermined the story they were trying to tell, and not in a good. And there would have been not really any good way to write out of it. Well, I mean, that's just my opinion.
You couldn't write out of it. These guys are amazing.
Well, I think they're good enough to know that there's not really a reason to do it, because I mean, just. Neil Druckmann has been standing up to people on like Twitter and social media who hated the fact that he wrote Nadine to not be a wilting daisy and be able to kick the crap out of people. You know?
I have no problem with that.
Yeah. Like, he knows his stuff, and I actually think they knew enough to go, okay, how do we deal with Chloe? Well, we can have her still, existing and put her, as one of the nostalgia references in the attic scene. But to put her in the actual game, helping out on the road to Libertalia, then we have to open this whole can of worms, and there's no real clean way to do that. So, oh God, sorry. But yeah, this game is an emotional endpoint for the Uncharted series, and yeah, I would actually honestly say you need to have the history to be able to play it.
Yeah, I think it adds to it for sure.
Yeah, it's a great story. It's a great story, kind of self-standing, like you said, but I honestly think that you lose enough by not having played the previous games that you need to go play the previous games.
I agree.
So, we've kind of said our bits on the story. How about gameplay, controls, etc., etc.? Anything you were kind of...
It's your classic Uncharted game. Just a bit of melee, a bit of shooting, a bit more of the sneaking element that they put in 3.
Yeah.
And just a little bit. I mean, I don't think they did anything way over the top as far as new stuff, and that's okay. I've never had a problem with it. I mean, we're going to have that discussion between 2 and 3, where sometimes the same old thing works out, and it felt like an Uncharted game from beginning to end. They didn't go out of their element. They didn't try anything ridiculous. I mean, it would have been interesting if they would have taken like the crafting system elements from The Last of Us and found a way to put it in Uncharted, but I had no problem with it. I talked about it in the Rise of the Tomb Raider review that we did, that the collectibles in the Tomb Raider game felt more important than Uncharted, but Uncharted's always been that way, where, the collectibles are just an extra side thing that you can do. So other than the grappling hook that they added and the new slide deals where you can slide down hills, and then the driving mechanic, I guess, was another big departure.
The winch.
Well, not just a winch, but you could drive a car.
I get what you're trying to say, but I was trying to add on.
Yeah. So there was 3 new things that they've added to it and kind of tuned up some of the other stuff. Again, one of the other things I kind of wish they would have done is obviously the best way to deal with enemies is to sneak around and take them out, because once you alert them, more of them show up and it becomes a more difficult time. So it would have been nice to have a way to distract the enemies a bit more.
God, yes.
So maybe in that way, that system feels a little archaic now, with some of the other games that have sneaking elements have taken so many steps further. So I would never sit there and go, gameplay alone, this is the greatest game I've ever played. It might be the greatest experience I've ever had playing video games. But the gameplay is above par, but I would not say it's a top echelon as far as gameplay goes. How do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you there. And even if it wasn't already apparent, heartily agree they needed a distract button, because there was a lot of my playthrough of the game where I would be standing there in tall brush waiting for somebody to get in range, simply because I had no ability to distract them. But if I moved from my spot, I would get spotted.
Yeah.
So I couldn't run to where they were and take them down. I had to wait for them to plod on back over to within range of me again, so I could take them out there. And if I'd had a distract or a tract button, a noisemaker basically, to get them to come over and go, what the hell's going on over here? That would have been great.
Yeah, just the ability to pick up a rock and throw it.
Yeah,
would be nice.
Or since we're talking about ripping from The Last of Us, bottles and bricks.
Basically. Oh, so I was just thinking of you'd see the same rock over and over. Mm-hmm. The one thing I've noticed since I've played the game and I've watched a bunch of reviews and spoiler casts and stuff, because I absolutely love hearing people's opinion on this game. Did you have as big of a problem? I've seen a lot of other people about the same box being everywhere. the same box that has the wheels that turn in every direction just showed up at every puzzle.
Yeah, that did get a little bit. Samey. Like, at least throw a different paint job on it, guys. Yeah.
But it wasn't overacting, but it was just funny that every single review, like a spoiler review or a spoiler cast that I listened to, had somebody bring up the box with wheels.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, now that you pointed it out as something somebody else noticed, I'm looking back on it now and going, yeah, now that I think about it, every time a box with wheels came up to, give you a platform up to the next level of a stage, it was, yes, the same box with the same color and the same casters, and I'm sitting there going, they're usually better about that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I didn't even really notice it when I played, but I think the first time I really noticed it was I was watching a bit of Jacksepticeye's playthrough of Uncharted 4, and he gets to a part and there's a puzzle and he helps Elena get to a higher elevation, and she goes, here, let me find you something. And he goes, if she drops a box with wheels, I'm done. I'm not playing it anymore. She dropped the box with wheels, and he went,
see you in the next video.
Alright, I guess I'll keep playing. But it was just funny, like, he knew it was coming, and I was like, I didn't even it never crossed my mind.
Yeah. I will say, grappling hook-wise, I wish they had given you kind of more opportunity, I guess I'm going to say, to use it. Because, yes, a lot of the fights did have grappling hook things that you could use, but in my experience, a lot of the enemies tended to avoid it. Like, a lot of the gameplay teasers showed that you would be able to, like, fluidly, grappling hook over and come down on somebody, and then I can probably count on one hand the amount of times where I grapple hooked and managed to come down even in somebody's zip code.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. The grappling hook to me just felt like a faster way to get out of an area, and get away from danger, than it was as an offensive deal. The one thing that I do remember, and it was the one that they showed in one of the gameplay trailers throughout the whole time that they were promoting this game, and that was when you're in the jungle and a bunch of different, basically little islandy mountains were all over the place at different elevations. I think that was the main time where I was able to use a grappling hook as far as, like, on offense. But I like the mechanic. I mean, obviously every game now has to have a grappling hook. That is just the thing that all of them do. And I think they pulled it off well, and as what you were doing. And I do like that they added the animation for Nathan Drake where you knew when you're going to let go and not just die to your death.
Yeah.
You just waited for him to reach out and then you knew it was safe.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I mean, there's a couple times where you just have to sit behind cover and unleash a lot of bullets, but I do like that most of the battles were, you could choose what you wanted to do. You could sneak through and kill everybody, you could just unload fire, or there's many times where you could just sneak by and not kill anybody.
Yeah. Which is saying something for Naughty Dog in general post Uncharted, because there were a few times, like, in 3 and Last of Us, where you could theoretically get all the way to the end of the area unspotted, and then they would go, oh wait, no, we're supposed to have a fight here, and somebody would spot you no matter what you did. Which is pure unadulterated bullshit. If you want me to fight, then tell me I need to fight. Yeah, they did do a bit of a better job about that this time around, even if I sucked at stealth enough that I didn't really stealth all the way through. But, you know what I'm trying to say. Stealth all the way through an encounter. There we go. I didn't get to play any of the multiplayer while I had your PS4. I was thinking about it, like, I think the day you came and got it back, I was like, maybe I'll try multiplayer tonight. And then, like, 5 minutes later, hey, I'm coming to get my PS4. Oh. Yeah.
Well, I don't think you're missing much. It was pretty generic from the little bit I've played it so far. it's not one that I'm going to go a ton at. They add a few little elements with the totems and all of that, but I still say for the best Naughty Dog multiplayer is from The Last of Us and the stuff that they were able to do there.
Yeah.
I think they missed the mark a little bit with the multiplayer, but again, I'm not playing Uncharted for the multiplayer. They could have just completely cut it and they still would have got my $60, so.
Well, I think you might be in the minority on that, because I remember a lot of people talking, oh my god, Uncharted multiplayer has been amazing. Like 2 and 3's multiplayer. I heard a lot of people talking.
Well, I'm sure, but again, I'm not a multiplayer guy, especially in shooters. I could care less about I played the Call of Duty Modern Warfare games, and I think other than 2, I never went online. I played the story. I didn't care. It's not my thing.
Okay. Soundtrack is amazing as usual for Uncharted.
Of course, yes.
Actually, amazing as usual for Naughty Dog. Well,
yes.
Because Last of Us was fucking amazing too. I can't really think of anything too much more to say here.
I have one more question before we get to the big ending topic. What did you think of the enemies? Like, again, I'm blanking on names. I'm the worst at character names. But your old buddy that turned on you. Rafe, thank you. What did you think of him compared to the other main enemies of the game?
I think he actually has
excuse me.
I think he actually has a legit reason to be pissed at you. Which is something I can't really... I can kind of say that for Talbot in 3 after Marlowe dies.
Talbot's not the main enemy in 3. Marlowe's the main enemy.
Okay. Lazarevich hates everybody.
Yep.
Or hated everybody. And Navarro just kind of felt like, oh shit, we're just gonna have a twist here. It's not the British guy, it's this dude. But Rafe, on the other hand, has spent 15 years searching for this treasure. Meanwhile, he hears about, hey, did you hear what Nate Drake did? Because even though, yes, the cities were destroyed, word like that filters out. Like Chloe talks to somebody, or Sully kind of hints at somebody. You know what I mean? And it kind of starts filtering out through underground channels. So Rafe spends 15 years looking for, Henry Avery's treasure and not finding anything. Meanwhile, all he hears about Nathan Drake is Nathan Drake found, and this is his entire speech in, the final battle of the game.
Yeah.
Nathan Drake found Aram of the Pillars. Nathan Drake chased a madman to the steps of Shambhala. Nathan Drake found the lost, El Dorado. It
actually reminded me of one of my favorite scenes in this game, where Nathan is talking to his brother as they show up to the pirate village, and his brother's freaking out and talking, and Nathan just looks at it, he's like, well, this isn't my first lost city.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Hey, come on, I've done this before.
Yeah.
All right, so
it was almost like, let's just fast forward to the part where it's crumbling beneath my feet. Wait,
basically. And I do. I won't get into it. That's a spoiler. So let's just get to it. Obviously, both of us love 4. So let's do the tough thing. Rank the 5 Uncharted games.
4, 2, Golden Abyss, 3, 1.
Whoa! You didn't even finish Golden Abyss. Oh, we're gonna get into a fight.
I'm sorry, I still cannot tolerate how ridiculously samey Drake's deception is to Among Thieves.
But you tell me how that's a bad thing. I just said, gameplay-wise, I'm totally fine with it being samey. And the story, I think, is actually better in 3 than 2. Because you get the whole backstory with Sully, who's one of the best characters in the entire series.
Yeah, you get some of Sully's backstory, but...
You don't get some. You get Sully's in the whole game. You get a ton of Sully.
Yeah.
And you get that big talk in the middle of it between the two of them. Basically, like, he's talking to Nathan Drake after you escape the house that's going down. Like, it's like, what are you doing? You're gonna not only get yourself killed, you're gonna get us all killed with how crazed you are.
Which, by the way, I love that gets called back in 4, and it's Nate talking to Sam.
Yep. Because he's learned. I think there's more. Listen, I love 2. 2 probably has some of the better, like, gameplay moments in the entire series. Mm-hmm. But 3, I think, has more character. It has more personality. And that's why I enjoyed it so much. Yes, some of the same tropes come back. Elena and Nathan aren't together again.
All of them come back. Like, literally, every single story beat they hit with Nate and Elena in 2 is hit again in 3, and some of them they don't even fucking bother hiding.
But that's a side story in 3, is what I'm trying to tell you. Like, Elena was a side character in 3. It was all about Nate going over the top, and him and Sully, and the way they became such a close bond, and Sully realizing is like, this needs to stop.
I don't know.
And the fact that you put it under Golden Abyss is very rude and disrespectful to Uncharted 3.
I mean, I'm not saying that you know, again, I kind of brought this up earlier. I'm not saying they're bad, terrible, no good games.
You just said it. You said it's worse than a Vita game. You said it was worse than a game not made by Naughty Dog. You wouldn't even put Golden Abyss in the main 4, and you put Golden Abyss ahead of 3.
You know, I honestly, at some point, I may have to try and go back and replay the games and see if maybe time has mellowed opinions. But just...
So take the whole Elena's storyline out. What other things in 3 did you hate?
A lot of a few of the set pieces, and I'm not denying that they're great set pieces, but a lot of the way you get to the set pieces kind of feels like, oh shit, we need to find some way to get him to this set piece. Like, there's the train level in Uncharted 2, you have a reason to be on that train. Whereas the ship graveyard in 3 is literally, oh shit, Sully got captured by pirates.
No, you and Sully got taken by pirates, and then the pirates went, oh, you have the treasure. You're going to tell us how to get the treasure. But I mean...
You get what I'm trying to say.
I don't, because you're like, well, the train has a purpose. Yeah, Chloe is on the train. So the ship has a purpose. Sully's on the ship. It's the same purpose.
But what I'm trying to say is the setup to the train sequence feels a whole lot more organic than the setup to the boat. Like,
how? I'm curious.
It's not something I can really articulate, but like, I didn't feel like, okay, sure, I'm on a train now. Okay, cool. Whereas Uncharted 3, you start in the ship graveyard, and it's like, okay, I guess we're doing this now. Sure, whatever. You know? Uncharted 2, it's, oh shit, we need to get on that train. And you're thinking that, you know, right with the characters. Uncharted 3, it's, okay, we're in the ship graveyard kind of dicking around for a bit before we get to the boat. And it just felt like, it just feels weird and bad and not organic. And again, you can tell that a lot of the main talent that made Uncharted good was working on The Last of Us for most of Uncharted 3's production. And the fact that Uncharted 4 is such a big step up because, oh hey, look who came back from The Last of Us, speaks volumes for a lot of the problems I have with Uncharted 3. Muffler work, jackass. I don't know if you heard that, but... But yeah, I just Uncharted 3 just kind of feels at times like it was just them going, okay, we have these set pieces that might rival the stuff we did in 2. How do we get from point A to point B? I don't know. And the first excuse that came out of somebody's mouth is what they went ahead and did.
That's so unfair. This is so ridiculous. The story in 3 is 10 times better than 2. And I love 2. And again, you play Uncharted for the story. 2 is just starting to get character development. 1 is kind of there. 2, they really take a big step forward. 3, all the characters are there. The story's amazing. And then 4 just blew it out of the park. 4, 3, 2, Abyss, 1.
Okay. I think at this point, this is just kind of going to have to become a thing we just don't talk about, except to take pot shots at each other every once in a while.
I cannot believe you put 3 under Golden Abyss, a game you didn't even finish, and you won't even say is canon or one of the main 4.
I said mainline because that's usually how you talk about console games. Which, let's be clear here, the Vita is not a home console. Yes, it's a handheld. But
I'm going to steal it from Stephen A. Smith's mouth. You're disrespectful.
Oh my god. Speaking, this isn't ASA 9, this is ASA 10, ASA 11, ASA 12, whatever the hell that line is.
Yeah, that's another good one. Well done.
Alright, that's about going to wrap it up for Uncharted 4 Thief's End. Let's go ahead and move on to my game, which was BioShock, releasing October 17th, 2008 for the PlayStation 3, which is what I played it on. It originally released August 21st, 2007 for the Xbox 360 and PC. Then, for some reason, almost 7 years later, in August 27th of 2014, they released a port of it for iOS devices. Because, okay, when I think iOS games, I think a pretty mechanically complex first-person shooter. Because, yeah, totally. Anyway, this game was developed by Irrational Games, which was known at the time this game came out as 2K Boston. I don't think they switched to Irrational Games until BioShock Infinite, did they?
Good question.
They were assisted by 2K Australia, and of course, because, both studios were imprints of 2K, the game was published by 2K Studios. This is, kind of a spiritual successor to the System Shock games. You play as, a gentleman who was on board a plane that crashed into the Atlantic, is how you start the game off. And you swim through the wreckage of the plane to a lighthouse on an island nearby. And in this lighthouse you find a bathysphere, which takes you down to the underground city of Rapture in the 1960s. And you arrive in Rapture, and it's very clear from the onset that bad things have happened here recently, because there's water leaking everywhere, which is very bad when your city is at the bottom of the ocean. There's genetically mutated splicers running around, and things are going bad. You are immediately introduced to your one companion, basically, throughout the game, is a voice on the radio by the name of Atlas, and he's the one who kind of gives you your tasks to try and get out of Rapture. And basically, you are running through Rapture on Atlas's errands, trying to help Atlas help you get out of Rapture, and along the way you find out more about Rapture's history. It was founded by a visionary by the name of Andrew Ryan, and it's basically a libertarian utopia. It's, you get by on your own merits, period. There is no free market, there is no, free market or market restrictions or anything. It's, you get by on your own merits or you will fail. And a lot of the game spends time, kind of oh geez, a lot of the game is, seeing the results of this unregulated chaos and what it wrought, because Andrew Ryan basically went to war with a man by the name of Frank Fontaine over Rapture, and you come down into Rapture at the tail end of this war, and seeing, how far things have fallen, mainly due to the introduction of genetic splicing via plasmids, is a pretty rough go of things. And there's a lot of moving parts to the storyline in this game. It's especially hard for me to put it into words because I'm already bad at that sort of thing. But then to try and piece it all together into one coherent whole is kind of a mess. But I will say I enjoyed the storyline in this game. I feel like maybe I missed a few diaries because I went to the BioShock wiki, because of course there's a wiki, because there's a wiki for everything nowadays. And I'm pretty sure I've made that joke recently. But to see what the other ending was, because I, of course, being the kind of person I am, Randy, you've played BioShock, correct?
Correct.
What did you do your first time through the game on the Little Sisters?
Oh, I saved them.
Okay. What do you guess I would have done?
Stole their powers. 'Cause you're an evil bastard.
Not quite. No, I saved, I only did not save 2 of them, and that's because I could not find one of them. And then the very last Big Daddy / Little Sister combo in the game, because that's something I completely glossed over, because of course I did, because I'm great at this. Little Sisters are basically genetically modified little girls who go around collecting Adam, which is a substance that, through the research being done on plasmids, is found to basically be like the genetic unlock key to do all sorts of bughouse crazy shit like the plasmids. And so the Little Sisters' job is to go around Rapture and collect it, or, also they generate it in their stomachs, which when I found that audio log, I kind of felt a little sick to my stomach. But anyway, you are presented with the option to either rescue them by using a specialized plasmid that their creator, Tenenbaum, gives you, or harvest them and kill them and get more Adam immediately. And so that's kind of, because that was kind of how morality systems were done at the time, 2008, 2007. It was either be a dog-kicking bastard or, friend to all the creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Black and white, there was no really shades of gray going on there. And yeah, I saved all of them with the exception of 2 simply because I couldn't find them. Yeah. A lot of this game's gameplay is, juggling plasmids and, which plasmid you want to use for a specific situation. So, I liked the game. It's weird because I kind of feel like I'm, like my tone of voice is saying that I'm disappointed in this game when that's not really the case. I mean, I'm looking forward to, sometime early next year, because we haven't started planning 2017, out yet. BioShock 2 and BioShock Infinite are probably going to get on there at some point.
You don't want to play BioShock 2.
Oh boy. But anyway, I want to continue playing the series, but,
Just do yourself a favor and just play Infinite. No, just say that.
Well,
two was not made by this studio, and you could tell.
I've heard Minerva's Den, the DLC, is pretty good for 2.
It's possible. I've never even beat 2. It was just one of those, I played it for a little bit and went, yeah, this doesn't have the same atmosphere. And I guess that's why I enjoyed BioShock the most. We just talked about Uncharted 4, and the reason why I like the Uncharted series is the story. I loved BioShock, and I loved BioShock Infinite because of the atmosphere, because just the world that they were able to create, and you kind of get yourself lost in it. And BioShock 2, they didn't do that. It was like, okay, Yeah, the big thing, and two, is you get to play as a Big Daddy, and before or right as everything was going to shit, I think, or like right after it. So, I mean, it was an interesting concept, but it was like, it was nothing new. It wasn't seeing something as crazy as Rapture for the first time.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I can kind of get that. So, gameplay-wise, I did kind of feel like, at times they threw too many hackable things at you. Which is kind of like, I think my least favorite part of this game would have to be the hacking minigame.
Because you do it so much, or?
Yeah, you do it so much, and it does feel a little bit, a little bit weighted against you at times, because there were multiple times where, I literally could not complete the puzzle and got overloaded. And I was just like, okay, that's cool. I'm glad I got to waste time doing that and then get shocked for most of my health and have to blow it up anyway, or restart the hack.
Get good, bro.
Literally, I think there was at least one instance on stream where I literally, did not have the pieces to get past a wall of, alarm tiles and overload tiles. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, well, that's just great.
It's been a really long time since I've played BioShock, but I do remember, I kind of wish there was, a variety of them. God, no. My memory today has been the effing worst. I played a game for this project that I remember reminding me of the BioShock minigame, but they had variations of it. So I need to look this up while you talk.
Okay. I think speaking of variations, I think what might have helped is if each hackable thing had a slightly different twist on the game.
Yeah.
Where, every single thing you hack is the same tile flip / create a path minigame. And somebody's setting fireworks off right outside my door, and I keep thinking they're knocking on my door.
Well, pretty soon a firework's gonna bounce off your door.
Yeah, pretty much. But, anyway, but, I'm trying to think of ways to make it still the same minigame, but, noticeably different, and I'm failing off the top of my head. But just the fact that it was the same, grid, same size grid, same pieces, same mechanics for every single hackable thing in the game was just kind of okay. Got a little samey, I don't know if it was just my playstyle or what was going on, but a lot of, I did feel like I got a little bit of, a little bit resource starved at times. To the point where there were several times where I had to Vita Chamber rush a Big Daddy simply to get money to go get ammo and be able to do anything at all. And it just kind of took me out of the game for a bit. But other than that, the gameplay was an okay first-person shooter. The plasmid variety was, nice. The atmosphere is goddamn amazing. The audio files and everything that kind of give you more glimpses into Rapture are good. The main twist of this game, I did not see coming.
Sure, well, I was just about to bring up, I was going to ask you if you thought your feelings were going to be different if, you had played it when the game came out. That was never spoiled for you?
I think I vaguely remember. We're talking about the trigger phrase, correct? Here?
Correct.
Okay, yeah. Well, okay, since Randy alluded to it, this game's almost 10 years old. We'll just go ahead and put this out in the open, and I'll put the spoiler warning in the show notes like I usually do. Near the end of the game, you find out that you are basically genetically raised in Rapture to be Frank Fontaine's backup plan, if shit goes south. And how he accomplishes this is you have hypnotic triggers in your head, one of which is you must do anything a person tells you to do if they either precede it or follow the phrase with "would you kindly." As in, if I were to say, "Would you kindly go follow my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/backlogbusting," if you were the main character of BioShock, and you would have to go do that. You still should go do that, please, because I need more followers. But yeah,
shameless plug.
Yes. But also, would you kindly go follow twitch.tv/Randy_BBP? Spread the love. Anyway, I actually may have had a hint of it because I did listen to Britta Floss's BioShock song at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I did not think it was that much of a massive impact as it was. I will say, though, I did call the other main twist of the game that Atlas was actually Frank Fontaine. I think I called that almost immediately. Like, within the first hour or two of the game, I think I said, "Oh shit, Atlas is Frank Fontaine, isn't he?"
I don't remember. It's been so long since I played it. But I will say the "would you kindly" thing did get me. And was a great twist to a already pretty good game.
Yeah. So yeah, a bit of a jumbled mess overall. Sorry on the review here. It's been a long day for me. But overall, I liked the game. A little bit of spit and polish on the actual mechanics of it probably would have done well, because I kind of feel like, the pacing of resources felt a bit off to me. Like I said, there were a couple times where I had to, like, Vita Chamber rush a Big Daddy simply to get the money to go buy, like, health kits and Eve hypos and whatnot. Hacking minigame, I could have done with a bit more variety there. Speaking of which, did you ever find out which game you were thinking of?
No, I'm really confused. I know we had one that had minigames like that, like for unlocking doors and stuff, but I can't.
Now it's pinging my memory senses too. If we find out, we'll go ahead and put it in the show notes for you. How's that sound? But for now, I think I'll wrap up with, I am probably going to do at least Infinite. I may bite the bullet and do 2. Because apparently it would be biting the bullet to do 2, according to my co-host. But as I think we've mentioned on this podcast, on this episode of the podcast, I'm the kind of person that if I know there's, another game in the series, I have to play them in sequential order. Not that I think, not that apparently, I've heard Infinite doesn't really address much of what happened in 2, simply because Ken Levine and Irrational Games kind of went, fuck that too. But,
yeah.
It's still it would still probably feel weird to me to go from 1 to Infinite without at least trying to. So, that's something we'll discuss when we start planning out 2017, though, which we're still a little ways off from. So, did you have anything else that you think I missed or want me to expound on, or?
Let's see. Would you kindly tell me your favorite boss battle?
From BioShock?
Yeah.
Well, the only one I would probably consider a boss battle with actual mechanics would be Fontaine, the final boss.
Didn't they? There was one that was like in a theater, wasn't there?
That's Sander Cohen, and you don't really fight him. That's more, he creeps you out for an entire level, and you have to kind of go.
Again, it's been like a decade, so
yeah,
memory's blurred.
There is a theater that does kind of play prominently. It's Sander Cohen. Basically, you get rerouted while you're trying to get to Andrew Ryan's office, and Sander Cohen's controlling the main bathysphere to Andrew Ryan's office, and he hijacks the bathysphere and says, "You're not getting past me until you do some stuff for me." And what he wants you to do is complete his masterpiece, which is go kill 4 people he doesn't like, take a picture of it with your camera, and put the picture into his sculpture with picture frames. And that's like, his section of the game. There is one of the people you have to kill for him does have a slightly interesting mechanic in that he hides himself in a room of frozen people, and you have to figure out which one is him and hit him instead of hitting somebody else, because then they'll unfreeze and you have to deal with them at the same time, which can be kind of annoying if you don't have any ammunition. But luckily I got lucky and hit the main guy first off, and I had a bunch of crossbow ammo, which, by the way, the crossbow is fucking overpowered as all hell. That thing can 1 or 2 shot pretty much everything in the game short of a Big Daddy. But yeah, as far as actual involved fights go, really about the only one I would consider anything above a normal skirmish would be Frank Fontaine at the end, and even then it's just kind of dodge his plasmid attacks, shoot him until he goes into the chair, and then press X.
Yeah. Which
was fun, don't get me wrong. It was a nice fight, and I actually died on it once or twice. Actually, once. But,
And the game I'm pretty sure I'm thinking of, and it's not the same mini game, but The Order 1886 has a bunch of little mini games for unlocking doors and getting equipment to work. Again, not the same mini game, but at least there's a variety with it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Alright, so that'll about do it for BioShock for me, unless you have any other last minute things.
Nope.
Okay. Alright. So we'll move on to your game, which I from what you've told me before we started recording, I think we're about to have some fun here, so I will go ahead and yield the floor to you.
I played Devil May Cry for the PS2. It was originally released October 16th of 2001. I played the HD collection that was released March 29th of 2012 for the PS3. Maybe the 360? I forget. It was developed and published by Capcom, and I think I had hinted to it earlier. From what I remember of Devil May Cry when I played it, bits and pieces back in the day, it didn't seem like they fixed anything. They may have rezzed up the graphics a little bit.
Tightened up the graphics on level 3. Sorry. Old joke.
But all of the issues that hindered the first Devil May Cry are all still there. It's obviously, if you know the history of Devil May Cry, it kind of started out as a Resident Evil game, and then became its own thing. And just because I think it was so over the top, and they didn't want to take Resident Evil to that direction yet. But basically, you play as Dante, you get told something about your dad, I don't fucking care. There's no story to this. There's a cutscene at the beginning, 1 or 2 pieces of dialogue between you and a boss, but nothing else, really. Until to the point where I am stuck, right at the moment. I'm 4 missions away from finishing. There's no story. Who cares? It's Dante. He's not even that cool. He doesn't have any of his one-liners or anything that I thought I remembered in 2 and 3. And yeah. So the story's fine. The gameplay's okay. It's just a difficult hack and slash for the most part. Most of the weaker enemies aren't that difficult until later on in the game. They're just kind of there to give you red orbs, which you can use to upgrade your weapons or get new items or anything like that. The bosses are very difficult and challenging, and they have some great patterns to them, which you actually have to take time to learn. Those parts of the game I've absolutely loved for the most part. But there really seems to be only 4 that you just replay over and over. I guess I don't know if they just were trying to stretch it out or they couldn't come out with anything new, but I know you fight the big thing. One of the main enemies I think is the most memorable in this is the first fight you get with basically that big giant lava spider. And you fight him 2 or 3 times. You have a guy that looks like a Black Knight. I swear I fought him 73 times. It's probably only about 4 or 5. And then you fight a bird, which basically you have to use your guns, which I'll talk about in a second. And then this slime monster that you have to go and trigger a light source to make him vulnerable to your attacks, and then have to keep going back to continue to trigger it before it goes away, or he sucks you into an abyss, which you have to do another mini boss, basically. But, I mean, they're all interesting, they're all very difficult, but in a fair-ish way. It's not like it's just impossible. It's tough, and it's gonna push your limits, especially that first boss. It really is one of those slap in the face moments in video games where it's like, okay, we're not playing around right now. Like, okay, we've given you 30 minutes to figure this game out. Now let's really test you out, and I'm sure a lot of people never got even by him. Jeez.
Yeah, I know, right?
Very excited. Yay, July 4th.
It's not even July 4th yet. It's 9:38. Jesus Christ.
They're excited. Okay. And so that's the good. I mean, so there's so much bad in this. And again, I understand it originally came out 15 years ago. Controls have gotten better, and it just shows you how horrendous Capcom does their HD releases, because they continue to, and many of them just go, well, we could fix this and make it more playable now that we've learned it over the years. I'm looking at you, Silent Hill Collection. And they just don't. The camera is a fixed camera for the most part, but it will jump around. It's not like it's in this one camera or this one spot for each room. It'll jump around on you, which just makes you so disoriented that you just lose track of what you're doing, what an enemy's doing. There are multiple times, including the boss that I'm stuck on right now, where the camera will just stay in position and the enemy has a weak spot that is not even being shown on screen, so you don't know if it's open or not. The attacks aren't happening on screen because you're behind the enemy trying to figure out what is going on. Many times the enemy won't even be on the screen, and you'll be facing him, move 3 inches, and all of a sudden the camera changes and you're no longer seeing the enemy, which makes it way difficult when you're trying to keep up with what patterns they're doing, especially when their attacks do major damage in a lot of ways. So that's annoying. There's no locking system in this game, which can be very frustrating. Again, I go back to the boss I'm stuck on, where you have to hit that light source basically to make him weak. Many times, in the first time I had to fight this boss, I would run over to this thing, and I'm holding the joystick in the direction of the light source and hit the attack button, and he's like, oh wait, no, you meant to swing at the thing that's 20 feet away, right? Over and over. So a locking system would have been great. A block button or a parry button would be awesome in a game where you're basically swinging a sword around and getting into sword fights with people. But there's not, which really, I mean, I get it. It makes it more difficult where you kind of have to be patient in your attacks. You can't just go all out, swing a bunch, and then once he starts moving, hold the block button. I think, obviously, it would probably make it a little easier, but I would have liked something, especially because the controls are not very responsive. There are times where I have to smash the start button 4 or 5 times to quickly use a healing item before it registers that I have hit start. So all in all, it was an interesting first attempt for Devil May Cry. I've enjoyed it for the most part. Again, there's 23 missions in the game. Most of them are very fast. I mean, you can get through a lot of them in 10, 15 minutes in the playthrough that you get it through because they're difficult. And I get it. It is so dragged down with an awful camera system that you have zero control over, no targeting system, controls that seem to do their own thing at times. And not only that, but the controls are not responsive, but they're also in the weirdest positions to me. it took me a long time to kind of get used to it, and you can only change it between 2 different modes, and it doesn't change that much. But like your attack is triangle, which takes a long time to get used to. Jump is X, which I guess is okay for me. But to shoot your guns, which you also have, you have your sword and your guns for long distance attacks. You have to hold R1 and then hit square to do that, and it just felt really weird to me, especially when I don't know. Again, there are many times where you have a special ability that you can build up to. You hit L1 to make it happen. There were times where my hands weren't even on the trigger buttons, and all of a sudden I was in super powered mode, and I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, honestly, I had some of the same issues with BioShock. I think it might just be more our controllers were just being funky. Because that's the second time I've heard things mapped to the triggers on a PS3 game have been weird for us this week. So
yeah, I mean,
maybe it was just our both our controllers deciding to be crappy at the same time.
It very much could, but again, and I think that what I'm most frustrated about, other than the fact that I didn't finish the game, I'm on chapter 20 right now.
Which, by the way, I didn't actually go back and research this, but I do have to point out, I'm pretty sure this is the first time that I have completed both of the games for an episode, and you haven't.
Oh, I'm sure there's been times.
Like
the first episode this year, I didn't complete Rocket Knight Adventure.
I don't think I completed our co-play that episode.
Anyway,
go ahead.
But whatever.
Here, you go ahead and keep talking. I'm actually going to look that up now because I'm curious.
But yeah, so I'm a little frustrated I didn't finish it, and I'm going to keep trying because it's not a horrendous game. Again, I just think it has its flaws, a lot of it due to when the game came out. We still were in that infancy phase of figuring out how cameras would work best in these kind of games. I mean, it would have been much better if L2 and R2 just let you rotate. And the thing that makes me the most mad is I played the HD remastered, and they didn't remaster anything. They just up-res the graphics and went, yeah, that's good. Here you go. Here's all 3. Have fun. So could you fix it? Could you make it a playable game at least? But again, it's one of those, it's not an all-time classic, but it's an interesting game. I know I've beaten 2 before in my time because that is the easiest one, and because everyone bitched that it was so easy, they made 3 horrendously difficult. So I was hoping to make this a series, kind of like what you're hoping to do with BioShock, but I gotta get through this one still.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't really have too much to add because I didn't really play too much Devil May Cry myself. Wasn't really a fan of that genre back then. I'll probably get around to it eventually. I know I say that a lot, but you covered most of the stuff I would have wanted to cover. I did go back and look this up. By my count, this is actually the 3rd time where you have not finished a game, and I finished both games on an episode. First one was all the way back in episode 3. We co-played Sleeping Dogs. I finished Front Mission 3. And you did not finish.
Oh yeah, Conker's
Bad Fur Day.
Yeah.
I was waiting to see if you would. Oh wait, you're reading the doc now. Damn it.
Yeah. I was on the doc.
Yeah. And then Rocket Knight Adventures, episode 25, God of War 2, and Professor Layton for me. And then this would be the 3rd episode.
And actually, you missed one. The last Metal Gear Solid episode.
I wouldn't really count Metal Gear Month
because I didn't beat Revengeance.
Yeah.
Nor do I want to.
Revengeance beat you. And this would be the point where I would throw up the picture of the DualShock 3 if this were a video cast.
Yeah. It's my favorite controller, too.
I still love every time I go to my Twitter, the Backlog Busting's Twitter page, just seeing that sad ass broken DualShock 3. I don't know why it brings me such glee, but it does.
You'd like to see me have pain. Would you kindly move on to the next episode games?
Sure, why not? So next episode is going to be the last regular episode for a while, because we'll just go ahead and get this announcement out of the way now, and reconfirm it here in a few days, when I release something else that's kind of cool. Well, I say kind of cool. It's more something that I promised all the way back in March for the Extra Life Marathon and didn't get around to doing until now. For August, we are going to be going back. Speaking of the series playthrough, for August, we're going to be doing another month of all of a series, and that series is going to be The Legend of Zelda.
Hooray!
So, for the last episode before Zelda month kicks off on August 2nd, the July 19th episode of the Backlog Busting Project, we will be co-playing Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Conquest for the Super Nintendo.
Hooray!
Randy
Maybe
will be,
hooray. I think I'm going to like the game.
Donkey Kong Country 2, I've heard, is one of the better platformers on the Super Nintendo. So, Randy will be playing Doom.
Yay!
And I will be playing The World Ends With You on the DS. And
I would say yay or boo to that, but the only thing I know about that game is the song that you play on your stream sometimes.
I actually haven't played 3 minutes clapping in a long-ass time, now that I think about it. And speaking of which, I still need to stream after I get done recording, and it's 9:39 at night. What the hell am I going to stream? Anyway, so yeah, that'll be the next episode, and then we'll announce the first Zelda episode then. And also probably announce something else that we're kind of doing that's pretty cool, which we, in true us fashion, haven't really done any planning on. And it's coming up at the end of the month.
No, we don't plan things that are close, but I've already decided that next August, we're doing Mega Man month, so.
Mighty number 9. Oh.
Prepare yourself.
Anyway, so, yeah, a lot of, I know I keep saying this, and then not a whole lot seems to happen, but for real this time, there is some pretty cool stuff coming down the pipeline here in the next month for the Backlog Busting Project. Since this is Tuesday now, when you're listening to this, you may have noticed that Mario Maker Monday has not quite come back yet. But that's because we were having so much fun recording Whatever Wednesdays, which debuts tomorrow, if you're listening to this on release day, and a couple episodes of Family Fun Friday, that we ran out of time to record Mario Maker during our last recording session. So we're going to circle back around on that, and Mario Maker Mondays will be returning soon, TM. But we have launched Whatever Wednesdays, and we are bringing back Family Fun Fridays. Randy is continuing the Until Dawn playthrough releases on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So yes. Here pretty soon we're going to have a video releasing on our YouTube channel every day of the week for a while. So that'll be fun.
Let's see how long that lasts.
Hopefully not very long knowing us, and knowing our tech issues sometimes. I'm still doing the stream streak. Randy's still trying to stream occasionally.
Tuesday through Saturday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Randy_BBP. I took a week off and you got mad at me.
So, I'm sorry. It's just that when... I know I'm such an asshole for that, but just, I love how I'm like on day 107 of the stream streak now, and it's just like, I don't know why I find that funny, but I do. I'm finding a lot of dumb shit funny right now. I think I'm starting to overheat again, and I should probably just, go get some water.
If you had put the effort you put into Twitch, into YouTube, we would have a video every day too. So, that's all I have to say about that. But we're getting there. We're working on it. We're figuring it out.
Honestly, you're right. But at the same time, another part of it is Twitch. I don't have to synchronize my schedule with you. And that was a lot of the problem with how long the hiatus has gone on Mario Maker Mondays is our schedules just got out of whack.
I gotcha.
You know? Luckily, that seems to be calming back down. And hopefully we can start getting back together more often to do recording sessions. Because those we actually have to be in the same room for. This, like stuff like this and stuff like Twitch, we can just Skype. But anyway, we that outro got way off track. So how about we bring it back? Whoa. Jesus Christ.
That added to the outro. Thanks, random outside dude.
Woo, that was interesting. Alright, so a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline, seriously this time. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, whenever that is, in whatever form it is, as Will Wheaton always says, play more games.
I have to try something. Are you ready?
No, but go ahead.
Wes?
Mm-hmm.
Would you kindly play Hotline Miami 2?
No.